is Monster Music and Movies here in Charleston. Even the rain is not going to stop me from visiting my favorite store in the USA. So let's see what I got this time. Greetings, y'all. Welcome to another video. Well, the time has finally come. My time down here in the low country is coming to an end. I've been talking to our good buddy JT out in Reno periodically this summer, and every time I talk to him, he's like, you're in the home stretch, you're in the home stretch. And I'm like, dude, man, I got 3 months left here. What do you mean home stretch? Well, JT, you are finally right. I'm in the home stretch. And you know, I enjoy coming down here every year to Charleston to work. I enjoy my time here. The beaches are really nice. There's great food. And most importantly, my favorite record store, Monster Music and Movies. I love this place. I've been going there ever since I first came down here. The selection is awesome. The prices are awesome. They have monthly sales, 20% off all the vinyl in the store, 20% off all the CD in the stores. Those are every month. I don't know what else to say about this store. It's certainly a place you need to visit if you ever come down here to Charleston. And this is the 5th video that I'm making about my visits to Monster Music. I'll put links down below if you want to indulge me and watch some of the other ones. But yeah, it's just an awesome shop, and it's one of the first things when I come down here to Charleston. Is one of the first things I do is head right over to Monster Music and go through. And we're gonna look at stuff that I picked up. This is all summer long. I've been picking this stuff up. It wasn't just one visit. So let's dive in, y'all. 2025, we get Wet Leg in their brand new album, Moisturizer. I haven't even opened this one yet. Let me do that now so we can take a peek inside together, shall we? Damn, finally got it off. That was a lot trickier than I thought it was gonna be. Hey, there's a little hype sticker. I know you all love seeing things like that. So this is their brand new record, Moisturizer. I'm actually going to see them pretty soon. I'm gonna see them in Central Park, which should be fun, sometime later in September. But really cool band, like, you know, alternative, kind of noisy, garage rock kind of stuff. Really kind of interesting lyrics. I bought their first record actually from Monster Music, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago or something like that, and I just really loved it. They were a band that had a lot of hype about them when their debut album came out, and you know, I remember just wondering, like, I remember hearing one song and thought it was pretty good, and I remember finally picking up the album at Monster Music and wondering if it was going to live up to this hype. And it did. It was really good. I don't think I've listened to any of these tunes. You know, it's been out for a little while now. Now that it's open, I'll put it on my phone and listen to it and get ready for the big concert in Central Park. 1986, we get Concrete Blonde and their self-titled debut on IRS Records. This is a receipt. And I bought all this stuff during these sales that I mentioned that Monster Music has every month. So everything here was 20% off. So Concrete Blonde I really like, but never got so into them. I have like a best of, and I always kind of felt like that's all I really needed from Concrete Blonde. And saw this there, I think it was like $6 and 20% off. I just decided to pick it up. My favorite song by them is on this album. It is called Still in Hollywood. I love that song. I remember back in 1986 going to see this movie, a horror sci-fi movie called The Hidden with Kyle MacLachlan. And it's a really good, fun movie if you've never seen it. It might be a little tricky to find streaming, but It's a really good movie. And Still in Hollywood, I remember seeing the movie, and there was a scene that had Still in Hollywood playing in the background, and I remember it catching my ear back then and just being like, oh, that's a cool song. But they're a solid band, really good. I don't know if you'd call them have like a little bit of a goth influence on them, sort of a Southwest. I know some of the songs have like kind of a Southwest feel to them, if that means anything to you. But I haven't listened to this record yet. These are sort of the last pickups I made at Monster Music, so I haven't had a chance to dive into this one yet. 1990, we get Urban Dance Squad and their promo-only live album. Half of this album was recorded in Hollywood, half of it in, I believe, the Netherlands at Pink Pop. Urban Dance Squad was a pretty cool band, kind of a mix of different genres, and I remember in, I guess, 88 or 89, whatever it was, their song on MTV, Deeper Shade of Soul, was really popular, the video, and there was a real big push by MTV playing it. I think the song actually did decently on like the charts, on the Billboard charts, but then they kind of faded away, didn't really hear anything about them. I have their debut album and I like it. It's good, but it didn't like really blow me away. I love that song, Deeper Shade of Soul, but the rest of the album, you know, I thought was just okay. So I found this in Monster Music in the dollar bin. They have a couple of dollar bins around, or cheap CDs bins laying around, and was just digging through them all. A lot of times in the past, I've had pretty good luck in those. And I found this, I wasn't familiar with it at all. I'm not a big fan of live albums. You know, I just thought this would be kind of a cool pickup for that cheap, you know, and yeah, I do like it. It is good, you know. It sounds like they would have been a cool band to see live. I don't think they're around anymore, but yeah, pretty cool band pickup here, Urban Dance Squad. Now, speaking of the dollar bins at Monster Music, like I said, I dig through them all, and before I show you this next one, I've got to tell you a short little story. The reason why I picked this up. Pretty recently, I did a video on all the CDs I own by R.E.M. and you can check it out. I'll put a link below if you want. Hey, but as I was going through my CDs to prepare to do that video, you know, I was reading a couple little things about certain albums that I had, you know, the history and stuff, and I read that Automatic for People, when it first came out on CD, a limited number of them came with like the tray for the CD was yellow, and I'd never heard that, never seen that or anything like that, and I was like, oh, you know, my copy didn't have that, and so I was like, oh, that would have been cool, but whatever. And then so I'm digging through the dollar bins at Monster Music, and I see this CD, and again, it's 20% off, it's 80 cents, and it has a yellow tray, and I'm like, this is crazy. This is like OCD-ish and stuff. But I was like, I'm gonna buy that just for the yellow tray. I mean, it's gonna cost me 80 cents. If I tried to buy just a yellow tray, you know, on eBay or something like that, it'd probably be more than that. So I was like, I'll get that and I'll put the yellow tray in my R.E.M. CD, whatever. So this is the CD that I bought. 2016's Totally Travis. Look at that album cover art. This looks like, you know, something like that you hear in Ibiza nonstop. You know, it's like, looks like some really bad disco dance club, annoying music, right? And I was kind of even embarrassed to even just bring this up to the counter, you know, like I don't want to bother them. They're busy and stuff. I don't really need to explain to them, I'm buying it for this yellow tray, man. You know what I mean? Got to make sure none of these pictures are going to get me blocked on YouTube. But I'm buying it just for this yellow tray, right? And then the funny thing is as after the fact, I somewhere noticed that actually the R.E.M. yellow tray that was on that CD that I was trying to buy this for was actually sort of clear yellow. So it doesn't even really, this isn't really even what I would have gotten anyways, but who cares? So I buy this thing just for this yellow tray, and I have no intentions on keeping the CD. I'm gonna take the yellow tray and throw this out or whatever, or give it to Goodwill or whatever. But just out of curiosity, You know, I was like, just for the hell of it, let me just pop this in and take a listen to see what it's like. Again, look at this cover, y'all. I mean, this is like, if you're gonna pop this in and it doesn't blast out dance, club, annoying music, not my thing. If it's yours, sorry. I pop it in and I'll tell you, it's pretty damn good. It's like, it's not dance club music at all. It's this lo-fi guitar, some other instrumentation, but it's like bleeding heart, kind of heartbreak, alternative, lo-fi music. It honestly, as weird as this may sound, it reminded me a little bit of like stuff you might hear from Beck. And it was pretty good. I mean, I'm gonna keep it. I wish I could change the album cover though. But yeah, it surprised the hell out of me. And I tried to like look up online some information about this album. Even trying to find out the date this came out was pretty difficult for me to find. But I couldn't find any information about this dude or this album really at all. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty good. Some of these tracks on here I like are A Second-Rate Man in a Third-Rate Predicament, Lucy Part 1, Mom for President, Are Those Space Pants You're Wearing, and I'm So Tired. There's 15 tracks on here. It does start wearing out its welcome at some point. Like if this was whittled down to like maybe 10, it'd maybe be a little more of a solid record. But yeah, I don't know what to say, y'all, but who would have thought, man? Who would have thought? How weird, how bizarre. 1985, we get Marshall Crenshaw and his third album called Downtown. I like Marshall Crenshaw. This was in like their kind of bargain vinyl section. I think this was $3 plus the discount. And I like Marshall Crenshaw. I have his first two records and I love them. I like both of them a lot. The second one I only got pretty recently. And I just saw this there in their bargain bin and just was like, yeah, why not try it out, you know? I mean, I like those other two and this is the third one, so why not give it a shot? Kind of a weird Warner Brothers label there, a little different. But I'm not familiar with this at all. T-Bone Burnett produced this with Marshall Crenshaw and Larry Hirsch. But I don't know any of these songs on this album. If any of you out there know any of these tracks, let me know. And obviously I'm down here in Charleston working. I don't have my turntable, so I can't sample any of this vinyl that I picked up. So, you know, looking forward to when I get home and checking this one out. 2025, we get Sharon Van Etten. I think that's how you pronounce it. And her band, The Attachment Theory. She's got a band now. This is their self-titled album from 2025. I have some digital tracks from her from previous records that I liked, but you know, there's a couple of them I really like, but I never really ran out and picked up an album or made me want to go out and pick up an album. There's your little hype sticker that was on the plastic. But I had an opportunity to see her live earlier in the year. A friend was giving away tickets, couldn't go to the show, and asked me if I wanted them. And it was like I think I was like a little under the weather, and it was a miserable night. I remember it being rain and everything. So I passed on it. I hadn't heard anything from this yet, and I don't think I even knew she had a new record. So I passed on it, and then like maybe within a week or so, I heard one of the songs from this album called The Idiot Box, and I loved it, and I was like, damn, I should have went to that show, you know? But needless to say, she's making another run through town. I'm going to see her live, maybe like the week after I see Wet Leg, something like that, but pretty, you know, coming up. So I'm looking forward to catching her live. So when I got down to Monster Music, this was on my list. This was one that I was gonna pick up, and I knew they would have it. So I grabbed it, and you know, the whole album's phenomenal. I mean, I haven't listened to that Wet Leg record yet from this year, but so far this year, out of all the stuff I've picked up, I would probably say this is my favorite album so far. I really, really dug this album. Some of the tracks on here that I like are Live Forever, Afterlife, Trouble, Indio, Something Ain't Right. Live Forever is really good because it's kind of got this extended part of it that sort of really lets the band kind of, you know, stretch their legs, so to say, for lack of a better term. But yeah, phenomenal record. Highly recommend picking this one up. 2004, we get the Donots and their album Got the Noise. Donots is a band, I think they're from Germany, kind of punk, but sort of like pop punk band. I saw them live, I think in 2013. They came through Asbury Park, and I went and saw them. I think they might have been playing with another band that a friend wanted to go see, because I'd never heard of them or anything. I just kind of tagged along and went and saw them, and the show was really good. A very energetic and really lively show. And I remember at that show, you know, they were like asking anybody if they could crash on their couch because they needed a place to stay for the night before they continued their tour. And I picked up the CD that they had. I think it's called Wake the Dog. I bought that, and it's pretty good, you know, like it's just the typical kind of pop punk stuff, you know. That was all I had from them. Never really heard from them again. And, you know, just digging through all the stuff there at Monster Music. A lot of times I'll go through the bins. I'll go through like instead of like the band ones, I'll just dig through like this section of like the D's, you know, and go through there because I feel like that's where I find stuff a little more unusual, you know, that's something that I'm not really looking for necessarily. So that's where I found this, and I was surprised to see it there because, like I said, I'd never heard of this band, never seen any of the records anywhere else. I bought the one I have directly from them at the show. So again, it was really cheap. It was probably like less than $3. So I grabbed it to check it out, and it's good. It's, you know, a little bit, I don't want to say generic, but you know, it's kind of standard pop punk stuff. There's a couple songs that stand out that are pretty good. The title track, We Got the Noise, Knowledge, Wretched Boy, Your Way Home, and Cough It Up's pretty good. That might be the best song on this album, but yeah, pretty good. 2011, we get the Dum Dum Girls and their album Only in Dreams. Dum Dum Girls on Sub Pop. That's why this CD is that kind of awkward shape to put on your shelf. Dum Dum Girls, cool alternative band. I had one EP by them that I got maybe in like 2011 or something like that. I think I'm not sure if it's, I know the song is He Gets Me High. I don't know if that's the name of the record too. This one comes with a gigantic poster, which I'm guessing is just the cover artwork. On the back, some liner notes there. But cool band, but I'd never heard one of their like full records. So I saw this there and it was really cheap. I think it was $3 plus the discount. So I just decided to grab it, you know, see what one of their full records was like. And it's great. I said that the Sharon Van Etten record is my favorite of the year, but I don't know, this might take over. Even though it's not a new album, it's an older one, but I kind of just look at stuff that way, of like stuff that I picked up this year. But yeah, this is definitely up there as one of my favorite pickups for the year. The whole album is fantastic, kind of dreamy, alternative, female band. I think Monty Muse and Daryl CD Rabbit Hole, I think you guys might dig this album if you check it out. I would recommend you guys check it out, especially Monty, because you like the Sundays. There's a little bit of that sound in here. I think Daryl, I think you like the Sundays as well. But yeah, really cool album. Tracks on here that I really love are Always Looking, Bedroom Eyes, Just a Creep, In My Head, all of them. I like all the songs. I'm not gonna list every one of them. Yeah, just a really cool band. I think I'm gonna dig into some of their other catalog. They don't have a huge discography, just a couple. I think they split up in 2016. But yeah, really happy with this pickup. 2024, we get the Linda Lindas and their album No Obligation. Linda Lindas on Epitaph Records. They're a punk band out of Southern California, a bunch of very young people here. I actually went and saw them live last spring in Philadelphia, and really good live show. I picked up their previous record. I think I picked it up from Monster Music actually, maybe 2 years ago, and I remember listening to it like nonstop that summer. This one is a little posterish too, I guess. All lyrics and some pictures. But yeah, really phenomenal band. I think they came to my attention because they did a cover of a Muffs song, and the Muffs were one of my favorite bands. And it's funny because there's actually some video of the Muffs playing ages ago, 10 years ago, something like that. And the girls from the Linda Linda are in the background. They were playing at like a block party thing or something like that. And the Muffs are playing, and I don't know if it's all of them, but a couple of the girls from the Linda Lindas are in the background just dancing. They're little kids at the time, and they're just like dancing in the background. It's such a weird, like, kind of, I don't want to say historical moment, but you know, it's just bizarre that exists, and you could see that. And now they're out there, it's a pretty successful band, touring. They've been playing some pretty big shows, and this album's really good. It's pretty poppy sounding, some punk elements to it, but very pop sounding. Tracks on here that I dig are No Obligation, All in My Head, Lose Yourself, Too Many Things, Once Upon a Time, Don't Think, and Stop, which ends the album, is another really good one. Yeah, just some really catchy pop punkish tunes, you know, check them out. 1978, we get Kim Fowley, the notorious Kim Fowley, and his album Sunset Boulevard. So Kim Fowley, if you're not familiar, he was kind of this Svengali. He more or less created the Runaways with Joan Jett and Lita Ford and all them. And I don't know, he's a very controversial figure, and talented, I guess, creative, whatever. I wasn't even aware that he had any records, but I think he's put out a bunch of them. I just saw this there and just kind of was like, what on earth does this sound like? I wonder, and just decided to pick it up. It wasn't too expensive. It was like $8 plus the discount. But again, I don't have my record player here, so I can't listen to this, but I really have no idea what this is gonna sound like or how the songs are. You know, he wrote some really good stuff for the Runaways, catchy kind of rock and roll, kind of punkish kind of songs. If you're familiar with this record, let me know, because like I said, I know nothing about this album or anything about the sound or what have you, but yeah, we'll see. 1989, we get the Godfathers and more songs about love and hate. Godfathers, I think they're from the UK, rockin', pretty classic rock sounding band. I don't know, maybe some people might classify them as punk. I just kind of really think of them as a rock band. They had some moderate success in like the late 80s. I feel like there wasn't a lot of bands that sounded like them at the time. You know, that was like a lot of hair metal was going on and everything. They're not that at all. They're just kind of like a rock band, and you know, they would have fit right at home on like the classic rock stations and everything like that. But they sort of, you know, were kind of stuck in that sort of college rock alternative world. You know, they never seemed to break out of that. I think they had kind of moderate success here, especially with their first record. But after that, you kind of just heard them on the alternative stations or whatever, you know. And it's funny because like it's right around the time this album comes out, right around the time when the Black Crowes hit the scene, and they had quite a bit of success, and they would certainly, you know, anybody who was fans of that Black Crowes record, the first Black Crowes record, I would think would love this band. It's very similar, you know, sounding stuff, but yeah, like I said, they just never really, you know, got any bigger, you know. But really cool band. I have a handful of their albums, and I like them all. This one, the tracks I like are She Gives Me Love, Pretty Girl, I'm Lost and Then I'm Found, Life Has Passed Us By, Halfway Paralyzed, and another really good track. I think She Gives Me Love and maybe I'm Lost and Then I'm Found were released as singles. I feel like I remember seeing the videos on MTV for those. MTV really pushed these guys when they first came out. And that might have led to some of the success of their first album. 1993, we get Bash and Pop, Friday Night is Killing Me. Bash and Pop is made up of Tommy Stinson from The Replacements. This is what he did after The Replacements split up. Here's my receipt. Like I said, everything here was 20% off. Prices are awesome there. Monster Music, can't go wrong. So this is what he does after Replacements split up. It's funny because I was a big fan of The Replacements and I just wasn't familiar with this at all. I wasn't familiar with Bash and Pop at all. I don't know how I missed out on this. I was familiar with some of Paul Westerberg's solo stuff, which is kind of starts off really good and then kind of gets a bit dreary after that. But I wasn't familiar with this until pretty recently. I saw Tommy Stinson play with Nicole Atkins a handful of years ago at the Mercury Lounge in New York. But I saw this there and I just decided to finally give it a try. $1.99, speaking of prices, plus the discount. And it's good. It's, Tommy Stinson looked up to Paul Westerberg and, you can hear the Paul Westerberg influence on these songs, like, completely. I don't want to say it's like, a Paul Westerberg like knockoff songs or whatever, or second rate or anything like that. There's some good stuff on here. It sounds like, his first steps at songwriting by himself out of The Replacements. He's kind of trying to find his own groove, but it's, that Westerberg influence is very like heavy on these songs, and it's okay. I mean, it didn't blow me away, but I thought it was decent. Some of the songs are pretty good. They're like, they're almost great songs, is maybe the best way I could put it. Some of the tracks on here that I did like are Never Aim to Please, Hang Ups, Tickled to Tears, and First Steps is another good one. I'm not a fan of that name of the band, Bash and Pop. I think it came from like a radio contest. That's how he got it. It would have been kind of a cool album title, but I never thought that was a very good name for a band. He should have just called it Tommy Stinson. 2003, we get Stephen Malkmus and Jicks and their album Pig Lib. Stephen Malkmus from Pavement. I first became aware of him. I was aware of Pavement. I wasn't aware that he was from Pavement. I never got that into them. But I first became aware of his solo work I used to watch that show New York Noise, which I've talked about a million times. And I saw the video for his song Gardenia on there and I loved it. And I went out and picked up the record. And then I picked up another one or two of his solo records when I'd see them. But I always thought they were okay. I never got that into them. So I kind of just, that was that. But I saw this there at Monster Music. It was really cheap. And I just was like, let me try another one of his records. And it's pretty good. I like it. It's, kind of alt rock, some kind of interesting lyrics. Some of the stuff on here sounds a little jam bandy a little bit. Some of the songs kind of go into, turn into like these long extended like instrumentals and stuff. Tracks on here I like are Do Not Feed the Oyster, Vanessa from Queens, Dark Wave, 1% of One, and Us. 1% of One is, like I was talking about, has this, it's like 9 minutes long. It just goes on this like extended kind of jam trip. 2001, we get the International Noise Conspiracy and their album A New Morning, Changing Weather. They are a Swedish punk band. I think they got a bit of a political bent to them, some horns and keys as well. The booklet here is another one of these fold-outy ones. All the lyrics and stuff. And back here's got some big story or whatever it is. I'll have to read that. I haven't yet. I haven't really listened much to this. I think I've only listened to this one time so far. I have one of their other albums. I think it's called like Survival, Sickness, Arrival or something like that, which I really like. That's why I picked this one up. I never was really looking for any more of their records, but like I said, I saw this probably just in the the miscellaneous I section and just decided to give it a chance. So yeah, they're on Epitaph as well. But yeah, looking forward to spending a little bit more time with this record. And finally, from 1995, we get Belly and their album King. This is a reissue for Record Store Day. This was the thing I was looking forward to picking up at Monster Music the most. I love this album. I like this band a lot. I've seen them live. I'm going to see them live later in the year as well. But I love this album. When it came out, I bought the CD and I listened to that thing that whole summer, like nonstop, and just love it. I'd been trying to get it on vinyl for a while now. It was always pretty expensive. Most of the time, it was always overseas, so the shipping would have been crazy as well. And then finally, you know, they announced for the 30th anniversary, they were going to be reissuing it on vinyl. And I grabbed it at Monster Music the minute I got into town. It's on green vinyl. I haven't opened this yet. I'm gonna open this when I get home. I'm not gonna open it now, but remastered by Kevin Van Bergen. That might mean something to some of you. It doesn't mean anything to me. But yeah, I just love this album. Everything about it. Every tune on here, I just love. Puberty, Seal My Fate, Super Connected, Now They'll Sleep, Judas My Heart. I think they released Super Connected and Now They'll Sleep as singles. I remember seeing those videos. Red is my favorite song on here. This was produced by Glyn Johns, which was really surprising to me. He struck me as more like working with like those classic rock bands and everything. So the idea that he produced this album just kind of seemed like an out of the box choice, but you know, he's a stellar producer, as you guys all know, and yeah, just a fantastic album. I'm so thrilled to finally have this on vinyl. I love it so much. So it's a lot, but that's everything that I picked up this summer at Monster Music. I can't say enough about that store. I love it. It's my favorite thing about Charleston. As good as the food is and as nice as the beaches are, it's my favorite thing when I come down here to Charleston is the chance to get over there to Monster Music. Awesome staff. I can't stress it enough. You come down to Charleston, you got to go to Monster Music. Well, thank you all for watching this video. I hope it's not too long. Who knows? It probably will be. I rambled on a lot longer than I thought I was gonna. It's tough going through these when there's this many records. But thank you for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed the little scenery at the beginning of the video. I know some of you guys like that. And we'll see you another time later on, you all.